Hey guys, Cecil here once again. I wanted to do a quick video today and touch base with you guys about the January Nintendo Direct that finally happened today. Just for the fact that there had been a lot of hype coming into this Direct. Nintendo had a really good 2017, and a lot of people were wondering, hey, what's the next big thing from Nintendo in 2018? And this was probably one of the worst kept secrets as far as Directs. There'd been a lot of leaks and hints from third-party publishers. Nintendo even kind of did a tweezer a couple days back on their Twitter about probably dropping a Direct soon. And surprisingly, they just kind of dropped it. They didn't even announce it that they were doing one or when this one was happening. Usually in the past, they would, announce a few days in advance, hey, we're doing a Direct at this time and this date. Make sure you tune in and watch. And the fact that they just kind of dropped it really surprised everyone. But it really doesn't matter so much when it happens. The important thing of what content was in this Direct. And this is what they call a Nintendo Direct Mini. It was a very compact 15 minutes, and they had a lot of different announcements on their plans for the first half of 2018. Like I said, I wanted to just touch base and talk about this just because of the amount of hype and interest this Direct had, just because the Switch has been doing so well. So like I said, I'm going to touch base on each of the major announcements, and I will give you my final thoughts on the Direct at the end. So kind of getting into it, the first game they announced was a new one, and it's a remaster of The World Ends With You. Which was a DS JRPG that had come out, they said I think it was around 10 years ago. It's been a while. It's definitely been a game that has had a cult following. There's been a lot of interest in a potential sequel maybe at some point down the road. I own the game, although I've never had a chance to really get into it or play it. It's always kind of had an intriguing art style to me. But I think for people that never got a chance to experience it on the original DS, this will be a great way for them to get into it. The fact it's going to have a kind of an HD update for people, fans of the original, I think it will be a great game to add to Nintendo's burgeoning JRPG lineup on the Switch. The next thing was some DLC for Pokken Tournament DX. They're adding some new characters, some new costumes for your avatars in the game. I think the name of the Pokemon was Aegislash. I probably said that wrong. I apologize. I've never been a big Pokemon guy, admittedly. They didn't really price the Season Pass DLC. I think they called it the Battle Pack or the Battle Pass. But it's always good for, especially in fighting games, to get new characters, even as DLC. So for any fans of Pokemon Tournament, you got some new content on the way. The next game they showed was Kirby Star Allies. This was the Kirby 2018 game. It got dated for March. Has that general awesome, fun Kirby flair to it. Kind of an action platformer. It had some new powers. One was Kirby was able to become an artist and create a painting and send the painting down a hill, killing all the enemies. Definitely a game to look forward to if you're a fan of action platformers and Kirby in general. They also threw some demos of Kirby Battle Royale and Dragon Quest Builders on the eShop, so if you're looking forward to that 3DS or Switch title, the demos are on the shops right now. The next big game, which was one that wasn't expected, and it's not a new game, another remaster, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Version. Now, this was a port, this is a port, excuse me, of the 2014 Hyrule Warriors game from the Wii U, with all the content from the Wii U and 3DS versions of the game, kind of all in one package. It's also going to have some skins for Mario and Zelda from Breath of the Wild, their costumes from the game. So for anyone who hasn't had a chance to play it on the Wii U or the 3DS, who wants a final version of this game, if you've never tried a Musou game, if you didn't pick up, say, Fire Emblem Warriors last fall, for example, and you hadn't had a chance to play this one yet, this seems like a great way to get into the game, at least if you haven't played the previous versions. And I will kind of get into my thoughts, because this Direct had a lot of remasters and ports from the Wii U, and I will kind of get into that on my final thoughts on the Direct at the end of this. The next game they announced was Mario Tennis Aces. This is a new Mario Tennis game. The last one on the Wii U, while it played solidly, was a very bare-bones Mario Tennis game. And this one seems to be updated. They're adding a story mode that for the last time was in a Game Boy Advance version of Mario Tennis. I remember the 3DS Mario Tennis a few years ago kind of had a bit of an outside kind of I wouldn't call it a story mode, but it kind of had a kind of a side mode where you could kind of customize your character and things like that, which was kind of cool. Your me, things like that. So, but this looks like it's going to be a solid addition to the Mario Sports lineup. Any Mario sports game is generally going to come at least once to a Nintendo system. And this one looks really good. Hi, Caster, I love you. The next game is Ys 8. Which was a new announcement, a new third-party game announcement, and this one, I have it on Vita. I'm a fan of the Ys series. I'm glad this is coming to Switch. It came out on PS4 and Vita last year. Really, really awesome action RPG. Big open world, a lot of stuff to kind of collect and build up your character, craft new weapons and armor and things like that. The story was okay. I know it kind of got really kind of a poor translation, which they were updating. And I'm assuming the Switch version is going to get that updated translation as well. And it's cool that this game is also coming to Switch for the people who maybe didn't get a chance to play it on PS4 or Vita. Ys is always known for solid combat and a great music score, and Ys 8 definitely lives up to that pedigree. So another JRPG to add to Nintendo's burgeoning RPG lineup on the Switch. The next thing was they announced a new DLC for Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Balloon World, which was kind of like a hide-and-seek kind of where one person will hide a balloon somewhere in a Mario Odyssey map, and then another person will go and find it. And you have it, and the person who does it the quickest, I guess, wins. It's kind of a neat, interesting concept. I could definitely see it being a pretty popular mode. They also added some new costumes to the game. Just like Nintendo always, they definitely won't usually leave a game just kind of floundering there after release. They're always adding more content to their games. So that's nothing new, and great for Odyssey owners to look forward to something new. The next game was also another surprise, another third-party announcement. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, which looks like it is an SNK fighting game coming from SNK, obviously, and it reminded me a lot of Gal Fighters from the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which had all the female fighters from King of Fighters. And this is not a game that's probably going to be up my alley. It definitely screams geared towards girls. I mean, I'm sure there'll be guys out there who are fans of the SNK girls in those fighting games, but to me, this kind of just begged the question, if they're going to go to this length to bring in SNK, a modern SNK fighting game outside of their arcade lineup coming to the eShop, why not just kind of port King of Fighters 14? Maybe they weren't able to do that due to some licensing or something, I don't know, but it just kind of seems like an odd announcement that's kind of out of left field that I'm probably not going to be personally interested in, but hey, if you want a tag fighting game with the SNK female roster, here you go, you got a new one coming. They also announced some new Mario & Rabbids DLC. Looks like DK is going to be a playable character. They kind of showed a trailer for Payday 2. That's coming this spring. It's going to have some exclusive DLC that's timed. The next game after that is kind of this action platformer called, I don't know if it's Fee or Fae. It's coming in February. It definitely reminded me of Ori and the Blind Forest, just very black and very and 3D. It definitely has that unique artsy kind of indie platformer to it, just in a 3D space, and it looked very cool. So I'm definitely going to pay attention to that when it comes out in February, just because I was a big fan of Ori, and to have that kind of puzzle platformer, in a 3D space could be pretty interesting. And then they announced another indie title, Celeste. It kind of looked like another little indie platformer, looked kind of cool. And then the last two big announcements was another Wii U port. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is coming to the Switch, another Wii U port. And it looks cool. It looks like the Wii U version, and they added Funky Kong as a playable character. And there have already been memes sprouting up online of now has more Funky Kong in it. There, if you search it on Google, you'll find it. And then the kind of a known, we knew about this. It was kind of hinted at. Dark Souls Remastered is coming to Switch. That was kind of what they capped the Direct on. And glad it's coming. Nintendo's never really had anything in the Souls realm before, and Western style RPGs and things of this vein are always welcome to a Nintendo system, even if it's Japanese developed. But it definitely has a Western vibe to it, at least if you ask me. And it's also coming to PS4 Pro, Xbox One. Those are going to have 4K support on the Pro and the One X. The Switch version is going to be 1080p, 30 frames per second. The PS4 and Xbox One versions are going to be 60 frames per second. But given it's a remaster and given the Switch is underpowered a little bit, being 1080p, 30 frames per second shouldn't really be surprising, but it's going to be a portable version of Dark Souls. You can't really complain about that. So that's kind of just a quick little rundown of everything, and what are my final thoughts on this? Overall, it was a pretty solid Direct, and if you are a Switch owner who has never owned a Wii U, you have a whole spring to look forward to of great content coming. Just the fact Hyrule Warriors and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, two really definitive Wii U titles, are coming to Switch with all the content as well as some new content added is great. Some pretty solid third-party support in there as well. But for someone like me specifically who had a Wii U, I'm kind of mixed because the Switch is getting a lot of these Wii U ports, and for at least a handful of Switch owners who owned a Wii U, I don't know if this extra content is worth double dipping on. On certain games like Mario Kart, I knew I was going to get a lot of multiplayer fun and time out of, and the same thing will be Smash Brothers, assuming that eventually gets announced. I know I'm probably going to double dip on that, but some of these other titles and ports from the Wii U, I'm going to have to really take a long time to think about possibly double dipping on, just because I've already played them a lot, and I don't know if I'm going to get the money's worth out of repurchasing games I've already played, especially with a lot of other big stuff coming up this spring on PlayStation 4 I'm interested in. And I've only got so much money every month to spend. But I think for anyone who didn't own a Wii U, this was a very solid Direct. A lot of stuff to look forward to. If you're coming from it, if you're coming from the spot of being a Wii U owner, you might be mixed on it. But overall, it had a lot of good content. It was an okay Direct, not anything blockbuster. No major new Smash Brothers teaser or Pokemon 2018 teaser or Metroid Prime 4 trailer or anything like that. I think Nintendo is still saving a lot of those big announcements and stuff for E3. But for a quick little 15-minute Direct that had a lot of good information in it, I think it was pretty solid overall. A good Direct to get people interested in Nintendo Switch for the first part of the year. So let me know what you guys thought of this Direct down in the comments below. Did you think it was okay? Are you hyped? Were you pretty disappointed? Let me know what you guys think. And as always, you guys take it easy, and I'll see you next time.